Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So,
Well, I never could. Yeah, I never could get there. Oh no, very, a few times.
First practice, may pull your sliders. Practice will start in 1 minute.
Love you guys. Hey, Sarah. Eric from Charlotte. I love you.
Nice to see you.
Taylor. You're doing great.
Thanks for being a guru this
Yeah. Yeah. I just told some. We got some
I'll buy something.
down.
Practice may begin.
I'll be down. Yeah. So, yeah, and first they'll say green. And then they'll say green. You can dedicate these to your up.
Yeah. That's
Eric. Yeah.
One minute remaining.
Hurling fans, Want to be closer to the action? Head on up to the U.S. Curling Merchandise Table on the concourse and ask about buying a pass to be on ice level.
Practice is over. Please return all stones to the home end. Second practice, may cool your sliders. Second practice may begin. 1 minute remaining.
Curling fans, want to throw a stone out on the ice? Find one of the curling gurus in the red shirts to get your raffle tickets. One lucky fan will get to throw a stone during the 5th end break with a chance to win cold, hard cash.
Practice is over.
Welcome to the Denver Coliseum in Denver, Colorado. We are in the playoffs here at the 2023 Men's and Women's USA Curling National Championships. Tonight's draws will be the semifinal matchups. For the women, the winner of this tournament will move on to the Women's World Championships in Sandviken, Sweden. For the men, the winner of this tournament moves on to the Men's Worlds in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Tyler George joining you here again, and with me in the booth, Connor Kaufman for his second go-around. Connor, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me out. I'm excited to watch some great curling today.
Here is our bracket. Strouse and Anderson will be our feature game. Semifinal winner will go on to face Tabitha Peterson in the final. Peterson defeated Strouse with a 4-point end in the 10th, down by 3 to make the final. Anderson held on after a huge charge late from Madison Bears team. The two of them will play, the winner moving on to our championship final. Here is our matchup. Team Strouse 6-1 through the round robin. Took the loss in that 1-2 game, and Team Anderson coming off their win 5-2 in the round robin, and again, advancing to the semifinal. Here are our lineups for Team Strouse. Alternate, Susan Dutt. Lead, Rebecca Rogers. Second, Sydney Mullaney. Third, Anna O'Hara. Skip, Delaney Strouse. And coach, Courtney Benson. For Team Anderson, lead, Leah Yavaro. Second, Lexi Lanigan. Third, Taylor Anderson. Skip, Sarah Anderson. And coach, Earl Morris. Connor, obviously the story going into this game is, this young team Strouse, can they rebound from that disastrous finish in the 1-2 game? that's what you earn by getting to the 1-2 game, is that grace game. But after having a 3-point lead in the 10th, giving up 4, still in this tournament, just takes 1 win to get to the final. But can they bounce back?
You know, I really think they will. Like, these girls have played at a high level for a number of years now. They just came off a bronze medal finish at the World University Games. So I think they're going to come out and really show us a good game and a good bounce back here against Team Anderson.
And on the flip side for Team Anderson, some ups and downs in the round robin, and did lose the final round robin matchup on an extremely close measurement to Team Strouse, and ended up in the 3-4 game because of that, but played a solid game against Madison Bear, held off that late rally. Now coming off a win, interesting situation where the team from the 3-4 has that momentum going forward, the team from the 1-2 trying to rebound from a loss.
Yeah, just like you said, they have that momentum coming off that win against Team Bear in a very close game. So I expect both teams to play really well. They know what they're looking for. They know what they're playing for. And I'm excited to see some really good curling here.
The men's draw on the sheet next to them, on sheet C, is Corey Dropkin and Danny Casper. Dropkin coming off of a 13-4 victory, 13-5 victory over Team Dunham, where they scored a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 in that game. So maybe a sleeping giant waking up there. And Team Casper, well-played game against John Schuster, but Schuster's team as sharp as we've seen them all week.
6. Line's good. 6,
Here
7.
is the beginning of this game. Team Strouse has hammer by virtue of their higher ranking in the playoff round. So Team Anderson will start us off. Leah Yavaro throwing
Running a bit.
draw to the top of the 4-foot.
Just behind.
Connor, will be watching this early too, that Team Anderson has tended to play very conservatively early in games, trying to get their feet underneath them, trade hits, and Team Strouse the opposite. They're not afraid to attack, as you see with Delaney going to the corner immediately.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Delaney play to the corner right away. I think it shows that they're not afraid even after that loss they had earlier today, and they're willing to go right after it and potentially not let Anderson blank a couple ends and get that comfort, get them their feet under them.
2.5, 3.
So much of this game for Team Strouse will be
really fine.
trying to remember that for the vast majority of that 1-2 game, they were the better team. In all honesty, deserved to win the game, but a top team, obviously, like Tabitha Peterson, you really got to step on their necks. You can't let them have even a glimmer of hope. And you hopefully, again, for Strouse, they can feed off of how well they played and not how the game ended.
Exactly, and they have a really good coach, and I'm sure that Courtney was telling them that exact same thing, talking to them about how well they played for the first 9 ends of that game against Peterson. And I expect that they're going to be in the right mindset to come out here and show us some really good curling and show us why they were in that 1-2 game earlier today.
Yavaro's draw ending up a little bit shorter than they would have liked and under curls, so Strouse going right to the corner guard, or going underneath corner guard for Rebecca Rogers' second shot.
Wait, it's all there.
Really tight.
8, 9.
Okay, let's straight tap. Whoa. 9. Straight. Whoa, push. Push.
Schrock over curling, trying to get a tap instead.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
So they have 2 corners to work with over there.
Top 4. Yep. Leah's running pretty good here.
Anderson going right to the out-turn come-around draw.
That 410
Lexi Lanigan's first rock of this semifinal. As we've mentioned all week long, we've seen a little more curl on this out-turn side going towards sheet A. A little straighter going towards sheet C.
Curl.
Maybe not as pronounced as we saw earlier in the week, Connor. After they papered the rocks to get some more curl, it seemed as though it's been relatively consistent both ways, maybe still a little bit more curl going towards sheet A.
Yeah, it definitely settled down a little bit after they
Yeah.
papered them. The rocks were moving really good for that first day or
Think
two.
this
They were
way.
really snapping hard.
Four,
Now they've
like
settled out a
13.5.
little bit, but they're still
Yeah.
getting quite a bit of curl out of these rocks. So, and I also think that the ice makers really dialed it in to make sure that both sides of the sheet are going to be pretty consistent.
Clean.
Sydney Mulaney's first, playing the
Whoa.
in-turn bump
Whoa.
or freeze.
Got a hook. Got a hook.
Trying to get this to turn over.
Yeah, push. Push to the back one.
Ends up bumping off of that stone and rolling
Okay.
open. So Anderson still sitting 2.
Right on top again. Top
Yeah.
4, top 8.
Okay.
Now with these kind of half misses from Team
425.
Strauss now. Team Anderson playing a little more aggressively as the rocks are setting up
Looks like less
for
room.
a possible steal opportunity.
It's you.
Yeah, I would expect that depending on where this rock from Lexi ends up, I'd expect Team Strauss to start trying to
Whoa, Ben.
open up the middle a little
Whoa,
bit.
blind's okay.
Just make sure
Close,
that they can
Taylor.
score at least 1
Whoa,
point this
close,
first
yep.
end.
Opting to come around the outside with this
Whoa.
outturn. Lanigan playing the same shot again.
Go ahead, Leah.
A little bit up, so it will bump and cause some separation, but not a bad thing as now the shot rock is above the tee line.
You have it.
A little. Run. Do we ever run?
Or no?
Do we ever run?
I think you straight peel. You need
this.
but it's still gonna leave a center guard. All right. It's a hair high or a hair low. Hair high.
Strauss going to play the run,
This way, this way.
trying to make sure they can score here in the first end, not taking any chances. Mulaney second.
Clean up!
Like that one got turned over just a little bit.
Whoa! Okay.
So it just ends up being a peel, opens things up.
Thank you.
Looking for a 2, 2, 3.
Yep.
I think it's
Yeah, I
pretty
like that.
effortless here.
For sure.
Anderson replacing the guard.
Okay.
Here 2-3. So this somewhat tight, so they can't dig that number 1 counter out. So Taylor Anderson's first.
2, 3.
2, 3, 3.
Okay. Careful.
Okay, line's 3. Line's okay. 3, 4. Whoa.
Sweeper's calling 3-4, so
4, 5. Whoa.
this may end up gliding into the rings and giving
Where is it?
5.
Strauss an opportunity to
Keep it high.
5.
clear some stones up, now coming all the way down into the 4-foot.
Okay.
So it looks like they can clear a few of these stones out, maybe flop
Clean
on
my
top of whichever one they don't hit.
Yep.
You got it. 8-5 here. Yep. Just crotch them. You got
Actually,
it.
to clear both of these stones in the 4-foot. Connor, with them as close together as they are, it's kind of a delicate shot to hit between the two and clear both.
It is, with the 2 rocks being dead even and so close to each other.
Peel. Yes!
It's really difficult to hit this in the
Yep.
right spot to get both of them.
Hard. Hard, Bex.
That's, well, ends up spinning up. And I believe their third shot, excuse me.
Yeah. 1, 2.
Yeah, Tyler, I was a little bit surprised that they did try that
Right.
crotch
Or at
double
least
instead
1
of,
and
like you were
2.
saying, hitting and flopping onto
Maybe
either
do this.
or of those red rocks. They also had an opportunity there as well where they could have hit off that inside red and tried to roll behind those corner
No
guards
hit.
that they set up earlier
10-5.
and potentially clear 1 or 2 of the other reds in the back 8-foot.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been the better play, is just to remove one and try to get on top of that other stone. Again, very difficult to remove both of those with where they're set up. So Taylor Anderson playing in turn, inside out hit.
Hardly a.
Like to leave this on the center if they can, but ends up rolling all the way across, biting in the back of the 12-foot.
Okay.
Now Strouse can either try to lose as many of these as possible or hit and flop in front of that pile of stones. Looks like they're going to go damage control with this. I think they should be able to get 3 of them at least if they play this shot.
Did you like that call, or did you like the guard?
Good. Now you know weights.
Same person.
Good.
Very fast.
Very quick.
So Anna O'Hara's second here. Really don't want to be on the wide side. Does lose 2. Anderson still sitting 3, but 4-foot open.
And just like you said there, Ty, even though they didn't clear 3 reds out of the rings, the 4-foot is open, which means that hopefully at worst, Delaney Strouse is going to be able to draw the 4-foot for her 1 point with her last rock in this end.
Anderson calling for the tight guard. I'd be tempted to at least come into the top of the 12-foot maybe. If this is a guard, I don't think there's any question that Strouse will play the come-around draw.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you want to bring this one, like you said, at least into the top 12-foot. Even the top of the 8-foot wouldn't be bad.
Okay.
Just because if you leave this in front of the
Faster than
rings,
last game right
Delaney
now.
Strouse is definitely going to play the wraparound draw. And then you have to make a really good one to not give her a second draw for 2 points.
So Anderson throwing
Mine's a little tight.
3.
to a 3. I think Delaney Strouse would be very happy to see this end up short of the house.
Mine's good.
4. 3, 4.
Just a 3, girls.
Just a 3
Connor,
now.
this is more about what are you leaving your opponent? What are they playing?
Okay.
And this whole end now with no center guard, really, you're thinking
That's good.
force. You know, there may be a cheap steal,
Nice.
but throwing that guard means now you're giving Strouse an opportunity where she can get shot rock underneath a guard. And if the freeze is made well, now you have to follow and not bump off, and there's a possibility of giving up 2.
It's moving pretty good.
So I think I definitely would have thrown that
We'll
rock
probably get a 15
in the
there
house
for
at least
14-8.
somewhere, and probably not in front of those
14-8
stones.
here.
Maybe stagger it off to one side
Right on.
and
Yeah,
keep
lock it on.
the force on.
Gotta be locked on. You guys like the ice
So
here?
Strauss will have
Yeah, it's
the
definitely
outturn,
straighter.
come around, draw. Really important here to get shot rock.
All right, you got it.
Would love to
14-8.
get a freeze or even buried on the top of the button. So Delaney Strauss's first stone of this semifinal game. You hear 7-8, that's right where they want to be. Now you're hearing 9, and that is not where they want to be. Really needs to turn over
I
and
know.
die.
Mine's really good.
Okay, on its own.
Just has to curl. Looks very good. That's a good shot by Delaney Strouse. And good to see Delaney make one, regardless of who you're cheering for here tonight. Coming off that last game. Get a make early.
Yeah. They didn't touch
As
that
a
at all.
curler, Connor, watching games like that where it ends the way it does, it doesn't really
spot
matter if you're a fan of one team or not. You hate to see games end like that because we've all been there, and it just
Okay.
makes your stomach
So that was
churn.
a 14-2 that they didn't touch.
Yeah.
Mine was a
Yeah, we've all
16-5.
been there, and we all want to see made shots.
16-1.
You know, as curlers, as competitors, obviously you
great.
want more shots made for yourself and for the people you're cheering
Yeah.
for, but we're all out there to make shots,
Okay.
and we like watching good curling shots being made. So with the way that game finished, it is nice for Delaney to be able to make that one really nice here early in the game and just hopefully get a little more confidence going in through the rest of this game.
Sarah Anderson trying to follow that shot.
Okay.
Right
Roll
to the
down.
button, back button.
4-5.
Hearing 4-5 out of hand. That really looks like it's got to go.
Come on,
6,
girls.
7.
Come on, girls.
thing, 6'7". Really doesn't look like it's that much. If these sweepers can get it there, they'll have brought it a long ways.
Drag it! Harte, go. Harte, go.
Will be short and gets around. So just as we mentioned, Connor, throwing that guard opens up the shot for two, and now it could be a skip's deuce for Delaney Strouse. And in the men's game, Danny Casper makes an open hit for 3 points in the
just
first.
last 14-6.
Casper
Full
leading Dropkin 3-0.
Yep, for sure. More ice.
So no
Okay,
problem
okay,
bouncing
like,
back
this
from
is
the
a
loss for Team Casper.
Yeah.
Little different
Even a
setup that
little
game
more,
too,
Anna.
Connor. They played very well.
All right,
John was just at their
14-6.
best in that game.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything that Casper did wrong
Yeah.
that I noticed in the 1-2 game earlier
Not
today.
really.
It's just you ran into a John Schuster team that was
Yeah,
making a
I'll keep it
lot of
going.
shots, and sometimes the opponent just makes a few more shots than you, even if you were playing well. So
here is Delaney Strauss's last shot. First end, looking for that skip's deuce. The draw to the 4-foot.
Perfect.
Sweepers like it. Calling 6-7. That's right where they want
gotta
to be.
curl little.
Just need half of the 4-foot. Now he needs to hit the brakes. Ends up gliding just a little too far, so sweepers got a little jumpy on a different line. And ends up only being 1 point. Excuse me, Casper only got 2 in that first. I thought they had the third count on the side, but Dropkin's counter was a little closer. So after one end to play in our feature game, Delaney Strouse leads Sarah Anderson 1-0. Beginning of the second end, our women's semifinal matchup between Delaney Strouse and Sarah Anderson. Strouse leading 1-0 at the start of the second end means it's time to talk to you about Warm Room Hero. Is your curling club website clunky and unworkable? Are you tired of your club relying on social media because your website just does not work for your members? Finally, the curling management software your club has been waiting for is here. Check out Warm Room Hero at curling.club today.
Here. Give me a 10-5.
All things considered there, Connor, I mean, I think Team Strouse would have been happy to take a point once it got to third stones. But that tactical error by Anderson ending up going to a guard on her first is what allowed Delaney the opportunity to possibly score two, just ended up skating a little bit deep on her last, but still puts a point on the board, leads 1-0.
Yeah, and I think it was really important for that Strouse team to take a point in the first end. Obviously, you would have liked to take two, given the setup that you had, but getting the point up early, making sure you're up on your opponent, I think that'll help you really settle into this game.
Clean. Clean. Yep. Yep. Yes. Yes.
This over curls. See if it still hangs on the paint for Strouse, and it will. So we may see Sarah go to the corner now, delayed corner. So a little more, I would say aggressive, but a little less conservative. Not hitting that stone now and trying to set up a multiple point end. And really with that rock in the back 12s, there's no reason to trade out hits unless you're trying to shorten the game.
Exactly, and this Anderson team made a lot of shots in that first end, so I imagine they feel pretty comfortable and have a good read on the ice, so they're good to go after it here and try to get there too.
Good toss. Good judge there.
2.5. Get it to 2, girls.
Strouse going to a mid
Gotta
guard.
be a 2. Line's real good.
Trying to get the action
2.
back to the center
Get
of
it
the
to 2
sheet.
on the logo at least. Pass the logo if you can.
Good sweep there by
Good sweep.
Rogers and O'Hara.
Right here.
Anderson going under the corner guard with Lexi Lanigan's first stone
Really
of
quick
this
here.
second end.
15 now.
Connor, I've watched Lexi play for many years now. Her
Wait as you can.
aunt,
Wait,
uncle,
wait.
Patty, and Gary
Whoa.
Luke, very good friends of mine. We played
Whoa.
mixed together
Line's
back
okay.
in
Line's
2002,
okay.
so forever ago.
Line's good.
Wait only.
They are in the building tonight watching, and
Line's good.
another one of those young
Hard.
players that's still
Hard,
young
go.
but makes you feel extremely
Come
old
on.
seeing them at this
Go, go,
point.
go.
Basically, I played with her aunt and uncle when you were born. Pretty close to that, huh?
Right on it, 2002. That's the year.
I don't think it's on, but it's really close.
Okay, if it's close, we hit it. If it's not, I like drawing.
I don't mind the draw regardless here, even if that's on the paint.
I think it could very easily be on.
I was just thinking the exact same
you like
thing. I think
11.5?
that rock isn't really a danger to you,
10.5?
especially with that rock in the back
11.5?
12 foot that yellow has. And if you needed to come after this red one later, you do have plenty of rocks left if you did think that it was on and really wanted to get it out of play.
And this team, too, their hallmark has been that they play aggressively in the draw game. So
Gotta go.
playing this shot is a little out of character for Delaney. Not sure if it's gun shy maybe from the finish of the previous game. Chips the top one instead, spins all the way back to their own. It's a little bit of a catcher. Sarah's gonna take another one,
Yeah, I think
another
it's
look,
on.
and she thinks it's on.
Little hidden flop in front.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I can see the 10-5.
Same.
So your 10-5 called for the hit, trying to play finesse, and you got to be a little careful on the outside of the sheet. There's a little bit of a fresh path. This ends up turning over.
Clean. Yup.
I would be tempted just to throw
Clean. Yup.
normal on these lines to take the ice out of it a little more.
Right to it. Right to it.
No roll.
No roll. No roll.
Sit.
So
Yeah.
we're curling a little bit.
Yeah, every time in the first 2 to 3 ends that we have to throw sort of outside the 8 foot, we like to keep the weight up right around 9.5, just so rocks don't do exactly that. They didn't get burned on that one. They kept their shooter around, but sometimes if you throw a little less weight, those rocks will just curl way more than you're expecting, and you're not quite ready for it. You end up hitting and rolling out.
Anna O'Hara playing the hit out turn pass on this Anderson counter in the back of the 8 foot.
Whoa. Whoa, then. Whoa.
Nose is not a bad shot here. They're trying to roll it across. It's a little bit of a thin double, so they're just going to play the hit and roll. Strouse still sitting 2.
Board.
See the steely gazes of Coach Earl Morris and Coach Courtney Benson behind the sheet. Just hanging out a little, so they may be playing for the double instead of the roll. Not picking up enough to roll.
Roll it. Roll it. Roll it. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Nice.
Good shot by Taylor Anderson. Those are threes.
That was a really good make, really good line call there. Sometimes when you see the rock initially hanging as a skip, you try to go to plan B and go to that double, and every once in a while we see people kind of get caught in the middle between the hit and roll and making the double, and then they roll over the top. So really good line call there to make sure that they stuck to the shot they called and make the roll to a good spot.
Game 15 of 17 for me this week, Connor.
Okay, sure,
Definitely in need of my Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar right now. A little extra bump to carry me through the weekend.
Yeah, you've been up here working hard.
I appreciate people continuing to tune in, even though they must be extremely sick of my voice by this point. Maybe that's just me. Thanks to everyone for watching this week. It's been a lot of fun. Anna O'Hara playing the out turn, inside out hit, trying to roll into the 12 foot or maybe even the 8s if they catch it. Ain't enough.
Up, straight, hard!
Jump there that Strouse did not see coming.
Top 8. Yeah.
A little opportunity now to attack for Team Anderson. Trying to come around to the top of the 8 foot.
Yep.
Be a little trouble for Strouse. In turn for
6.
Taylor Anderson.
We're not too deep. Okay, careful, careful. Yeah, we don't want it to drop.
Where is it?
It's a 6, 7 right now.
Looks like it's all of 7 right now.
14-5.
Really like it to hit the
Bring it all the way
brakes.
back.
No.
They don't want it to be on the back of the butt. Be back 4, so some room for the freeze for Strouse. Not really much option with the way this is set up, so Delaney immediately calls for the freeze. Connor, this freeze is essentially like making a double if you make it, because that other rock won't count as long as that yellow stone is locked into place.
Just like you said, as long as this yellow rock gets on nose of this red rock or just frozen to it kind of anywhere, it's just as good as taking that second red rock out of play. She should have a pretty good idea of the weight here. She threw this same kind of shot in the first end on this same side of the sheet.
Delaney Strouse is first here in the second. It's looking for back button. Or 10 out of hand, that would be a lot. Should get this to turn over a little bit though.
Great.
Doesn't look like it's 10 as of now. Looks like it may even
Freeze
have
it,
to go a little bit.
Back 4.
Line's really good.
Has to be frozen. Has to be frozen.
Good shot from Delaney Strouse. Crowd likes that one. Over curls just a touch, not quite frozen, but
What do you like?
don't know that Anderson can do a lot with it except unlock it and sit on top of it.
Just next time you throw those.
Yeah, like you said, not quite frozen and not quite on the nose, but there's not really a port between those yellows or a way for Anderson to get in there and move that yellow without moving her own red. So we'll see what they decide to do. Looks like they're talking about clearing this guard.
Where the nose is. Yeah, I mean, it's going right into this, at least it's going to be
My partner in the booth that you cannot hear, John Benton, agrees. Really just tap this a foot. Unlock that, sit on top of it. You'd still bring 3 back into the picture. But looks like they're going to play the run.
running it straight back, open up the forefoot.
Yeah, like this.
So Anderson playing the in-turn run. Looks like it might cross. Don't want to jam on the back. to, I was going to say
You like right on top?
guard, but she is
Okay.
looking
A
to
little
come
bit more
right
room,
down
maybe?
to that
You don't have to
stone.
navigate the guard anymore. Thoughts?
Connor, a little aggressive call here.
Same room, I think.
Yeah, I was expecting either the guard, or I thought that they could also hit and roll and kind of split both their yellows behind that yellow guard they have. But you know, we've talked all week about Delaney Strouse's aggressiveness, and this is one of those opportunities she sees where if she can make a really good shot, it will put a lot of pressure on Sarah Anderson to make both those yellows go away and stick to somehow score her 2 points.
I like that Delaney is playing with this type of attitude now, especially because it looked like it was a little conservative early. But this is a spot where you cannot be deep. If you unlock that back stone, you could give up a shot for 3, so lay this one out for the sweepers. If it's a nose freeze, it's going to be very difficult for Anderson to score at all, and could bring a steal of 2 into play, but this looks like it's coasting a little bit. Really can't chip off this stone.
Curling fans.
Well, the good thing for Team Strouse is that there are 2 red stones that can play into jams off of this double opportunity. So it's a little dangerous for Sarah.
Yeah, they chipped off far enough to where it's no nose double where both yellows go and the shooter sticks. If Anderson wants to make this double on these yellows, the shooter's going to go, and she has to worry a little bit about where the yellow stone that Delaney just threw is going to go, and if it might run into her red stone in the back 12-foot, which would be her second counter.
This would be a very interesting result on where these rocks end up. I think there is a spot that Anderson can hit that goes right between those 2 reds, but more likely it catches the back of that red stone if they hit it somewhere where the shooter would stick around. Corey Dropkin gets 1 in the second end in the men's game. Casper now leading 2-1 with Hammer in the third.
Do you get one? To give them one? If it happens where it's that's okay. Right? I think.
You know, Ty, the more I look at this, the more it looks really tough to make a shot for 1. I think they're going to play this kind of thin double and hope to miss their red in the back 4-foot and have that be their counter. But like you said, you got to be a little bit careful because there's a world where it hits that second yellow but also runs down into your red.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything for 2. Man, it's hard to tell if there is a place that yellow stone can go between the reds at this angle that they're hitting it, but we're going to find out. Anderson a little wide here. This has got to come up. Now it's starting to. And there is that steal of 2. Actually, oh, that rock did that bite in the top. Is that steal of 3?
That's unlucky.
Just 2? Couldn't tell if they stopped that red stone in the back of the 12-foot, but exactly where we looked. I mean, there's a lot of ways that could have came off, but clipping that red stone was always going right into the other one if it hits. So steal of 2 for Delaney Strouse, rewarded for the aggressiveness. After 2 ends of play, Strouse leads 3-0. After that crazy finish, the end of number
All right,
2.
you got it.
Delaney Strouse with a steal at 2. Now leads Sarah Anderson 3-0 after 2 ends. Connor, I think I mean, you can look at the last shot as many times as you want, but Sarah's first when
6.
she had the opportunity to come around and tap those stones and unlock
5.
it. Not only does it put you in a better position to score,
Yeah,
it
5.
actually still keeps your 3-point end in
5,
play
4. Can we leave
because
a
you're
guard?
frozen on their only counter.
Can we leave a
And
guard?
bump your own back, which is still in the house. Delaney pretty much would have had to either refreeze or guard. And that's maybe your best chance of scoring more than one anyways. So even though there was that miss on the last shot, I look back to the first one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I saw what they were seeing with trying to run that yellow one back and get all the rocks out of the forefoot. But like you said, if you could just bump that a foot, unlock your red, and potentially keep your red on top of Delaney's yellow, you'd be in a real good spot. It would be really tough for Delaney to make a shot where you wouldn't have anything for at least 2. So that might be one that Sarah looks back on and thinks maybe a different call might have worked out a little
All the way
better.
out here.
Ben Richardson with a run back double clear things open in the men's game. Ben's had a really good week. He's gotten his team out of some trouble, and it helps so much,
7, 8.
Connor, when
7.
you have somebody on your team, and we have a few of them on
Mine's
team
real
Chaska,
good.
7.
that can clear things
6,
up the way they can
6,
because it
7.
allows you to play more
Really
aggressive.
curling.
You don't feel like you're ever in serious trouble when you
just on
have
its own.
players that can get you out of trouble that easily.
Yeah, the middle of that lineup with Ben and Luke throwing those middle 4 rocks, the clearing potential that they have with those rocks really allows Danny to call a pretty aggressive game because he knows that if it comes down to it, he can move 3 or 4 rocks with one shot with relative consistency.
Little time.
Rebecca Rogers continuing her strong week as well. Good tight guard and draw to the forefoot underneath. Now the second from Leah Yavaro, over curling already. Don't want to stagger these guards.
All right, 14-8,
Delaney
14-9.
right back in, and you can see even with the body language now from Team Strouse, Delaney bouncing up, putting that broom down immediately. His team, whatever they felt from that previous game, they have that hop back in their step, and I can't tell you how important that is, that especially for your skip,
Don't
the way
curl
that
it.
previous game ended, that
Don't
she's
curl
showing
it.
that energy, that confidence.
Hard.
The team will feed off of Delaney.
Hard! Hard! It's really hard! Go on! It's hard!
Great sweep there.
Hard all the way!
Perfectly done. Strauss finding their rhythm. Great throw by Mulaney. Really good sweep by Rogers and O'Hara.
Massive sweep there to keep that one off the guards. And you can, like you said, you can just see in the body language, all 4 players on the ice right now, walking a little bit taller, having a little more bounce in their step.
Hard, it's great. Hard, it's great. Take the roll. Roll, take the roll.
Game.
Look at that shot by Lexi Flanagan. Clearing things up, pushing that rock to the outside 12.
All right, a little more weight.
All those stones up front,
What
now
was that?
Anderson's stones can be used instead of having to run.
Did you get a time
Strauss's
on mine?
I think I got
Same way we just talked
14-6.
about Ben Richardson. Lexi Lanigan able to turn things around with one shot. Such a big shot there from Lanigan.
That was a really good shot because Team Anderson was in a little bit of trouble with the number of guards that were up there and with Strauss having 2 rocks in
Whoa,
the ring.
if it's a 2, whoa.
Now this draw way short here from Mulaney. Tides have turned in a hurry. And those guards staggered too. So really important shot again. Take that position first.
I'll give you guys a top 12 and you can take it in. 20 with that finish or a 10?
So coming off of peel weight from Lanigan. She'll be attempting draw weight now.
Little finish, little finish. Careful, careful.
Line's good, straight. Yep. Hard line. Hard.
Line getting a little tight. Sweepers going hard.
Hard, yep. Hard, Leo, hard, Leo. Come on, roll it in. Get it in. Okay. Just a little in. Okay. Girls gonna start.
Connor, big swing again there. Whichever team would have gotten into the 4-foot
11.
with the way
I think
those
11's
guards
fine,
were
right?
staggered would have been in
Yeah.
full
Me, you
control of the
got it.
sand. But for
You
Team
got it, Anna.
Anderson, guards are lined up in a favorable way, so if Strouse were to roll underneath, they'd have a pretty straightforward raise with that yellow-red combination.
Yeah, and I like this call. I am a little surprised, as we've talked about all week long, about
Yeah,
Delaney's
11.
aggressiveness. I'm
11.
surprised.
Yeah.
Playing the draw of the 4-foot. I do like this call.
Yep.
To make the hit.
11-5.
Really having to work on this one.
Any roll.
Not bad.
That's enough.
Rock they can use too.
Really
Would have liked to roll that a couple more inches, so at the least, even if it didn't take that draw path away, they could use it for a raise. But yeah, they're playing. I think they're playing scoreboard there as much as anything else with a 3-point lead. If you play that come around draw and leave it in a bad spot, there could be an in-off later in the end off that side one. So we'll see Taylor Anderson trying to draw through this port on the intern side.
Wait's great. 5.
Mine looks good. Mine's good. 6, 7. Fight the 4, girls. 6.
5.
6, girl
5,
now.
6.
Fight the
Sweepers
4.
calling.
Careful.
Line's perfect.
Fight the 4. Throw it in.
Well done by Anderson.
Nice.
Way to go.
See the freeze called by Strouse. That's due to the fact that that raised rock would be red.
You got it, Anna. Lock it on.
Outturn draw attempt from Anna O'Hara. Love to be right on that red stone that Taylor Anderson just threw.
7. 6.
I think the sweeper's got to be careful on this one. Looked like she got it out just a little bit.
It's gliding a little, but now starting to turn over.
Hard, you're curling it.
Whoa.
Needs to settle to not bounce off. Not bad. Tough to get to the inside of this stone.
Guys seen this?
With the amount of curl that they're getting there, though, I think it is possible to get inside.
And that last rock by Anna is one of those instances where every once in a while having that lefty on your team throwing the out turn that's going to run just a little bit straighter might have just ran that one a little longer. Didn't quite get the finish that they were seeing from some of the other rocks with the right-handers.
Yeah. Just a couple more feet.
Sarah Anderson calling for back house weight.
Yeah.
Like to get as close to this guard as they possibly can. Even if it gets to nose, still be in pretty good shape. Could possibly leave a double. But if this gets to the inside and rolls in a little bit,
back 12.
They'll have all the angles
Back 12.
advantage.
Back 12. Oh. Close. Careful.
Back 12. Whoa. Yep. Lucky.
Whoa.
Lucky.
Whoa. Yep.
This is really close.
Hard. Hard. Oh.
Does get inside.
Roll it. Go, Leah. Go, Leah. Go.
Pushes it to second count. Kind of difficult for Anderson to get to that stone. Back of the 4-foot.
Up it.
Get through 12-5.
Yeah, they got to the inside of that yellow, but they really
I don't
wanted
know
to
if
make
that's
sure
I
that
don't
they
think
had
you
enough
have
weight
enough.
to push it out so
Like
that
if
they
you
could sit
go
in
5 on a fifth of the rock, I don't think it moves that second one.
I don't know how you get rid of this right now.
We could.
Delaney echoing that now that rock in the back of the
not bad.
4s is fairly safe without
I
some
just
kind
don't
of
think
raise.
we did enough of it with 12-5 to like move that. Yeah, red. They do. Which one?
Do you like just putting another one in? Yeah,
I think that's pretty good.
I think this is one of those moments where, as a team, you got to kind of look at what is our opponent going to play, because obviously our opponent Anderson would like to get that yellow rock out of the rings, but if you leave things as they are, kind of like Strouse was saying, it's really hard to remove that yellow rock. So they're going to elect to just try to play this freeze, get a second rock in the rings here, and let Anderson find a way to get 2 yellows out of the forefoot.
Yeah, maybe 14-7 out wide.
Over on sheet C, Danny Casper gets another 2 in the third end. Now leads Corey Dropkin 4-1 through 3 ends of that men's semifinal game. Same way we saw that energy from Team Strouse. Casper, a lot of positive energy and bounce on that sheet too. The opposite on the opposite side for Dropkin. That's a really good freeze attempt by Delaney. Looking at the angles to see if there's some way for Team Anderson to lose both of these stones.
Yeah, I think the worry is that the red rock that they would have to run in is just a little bit below the red on the center line. So they can't quite get to nose, and it looks like they need all of the nose, even a little bit inside the nose, to run that back and get both yellows out.
So they will play this out-turn run-in. The yellow guard on the center line kind of serves as a guide for you on where you need to get to make this raise. The fact that the rock that they're hitting is just a half-inch behind the one that's on the center line makes this raise accessible.
Yeah, you're exactly right with that yellow serving almost as a guide. One of my junior coaches used to say that sometimes having to hit just what you can see is easier than having to hit half of a rock where there's nothing in front of it, because you have a good reference point for where you need to get to.
Sweeper's going hard on this, trying to hold the line. Who actually flips that back stone. That was very close to hitting their own out, but gets by.
Now again for Team Strouse, you got to think about what's our opponent going to play.
It is a yellow, red, yellow raise. Probably 3.
Can you get there?
I'd be very hesitant to play the freeze because you may create a pocket for that same raise. I'm not sure if they're looking at that or not. Anderson would lose their own stone as long as it was frozen to it, but man, might pick that off. They got to be very careful with where they place this stone. If this,
you just dropped something in the middle of the sheet.
throw it away, Delaney. There you go.
Did we look at guarding our yellow at all? Because it's just a hard prop for it.
It's kind of hard to hit that nose. Like, right? Like, you can't hit it high at all.
I would still be very concerned about creating that pocket with this freeze.
To not hit it high.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Sydney made a good point that
14, 15.
if you just lob up a guard somewhere close to the center line, maybe a little bit on that left side as the skip looks at it, it's going to be really hard for Anderson to make that run back.
Well, you could even tap that yellow guard too and move it over and have your shooter roll over and take both shots away.
Yeah,
I think I would like that a lot more than this freeze. I just don't like where you can leave this angle for that run in.
Straight.
Yep, you got to be really careful about where this rock ends up.
This is curling hard too. Got to go for line.
They might make that split you were talking about anyways.
Let's get by, but it's going to bounce.
Yep. Spin it. I think that's...
Ooh, I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know if it catches that red or not, but there may be a double for 3.
Yeah, like going for it with down weight.
And you also have, yeah, this red stone that's open on the opposite side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever you see.
Yeah, that
I think both shots are there. That
double
outturn looks a lot better.
Oh, you're seeing the outturn on the red?
Yeah, maybe that yellow is just
Even
high
if it
enough
hits
that it
flap.
misses it, I guess, on that raise. But boy, that looks good
I don't know
too.
if it's that's there.
This is really tight to the
You have
guard
to
to
run it
make
into the
this.
yellow. I like it.
You don't have to play a ton of weight with this one. You only have to move that yellow rock out of the 8-foot.
Just looking at this too.
That's harder.
Sarah Anderson taking a second look at this. Make sure she likes the angle before she throws it.
If they get as close to that guard as they can, this may be there for 3 points.
I like this. Oh, wait.
Heard Sarah say she's playing firm. Doesn't need to play peel, and that might get that extra half-inch of curl.
Visualize it.
So final stone of this third end, Sarah Anderson. Trying to pick up maybe a 3 to tie this game up. Looks like it may have to curl a little bit.
Yep.
Calling sweep. Tried to get the redirect there. Good idea by Anderson, but just a little bit of a flare on that release, and ends up only being a single point. So after 3 ends of play, Delaney Strouse leads Sarah Anderson 3-1.
Twin Cities Orthopedics is ready to go with more doctors, specialty services, and convenient urgent care locations. Ready, set, TCO.
Start of the 4th end now. 2023 USA Curling Women's National Championship semifinal matchup. Delaney Strouse leading Sarah Anderson 3-1 with hammer in the 4th end. Connor, I think that's one that Coach Benson might bring up after the game, that we all in the booth said the same thing. If they made that freeze to the spot they were trying to get to, it was a pretty straightforward run to the pocket for 3 that I think would have been easier than anything else they would have made her play, even if they threw a guard.
Yeah, I definitely think that there will be some words after this game about that shot. But at the end of the day, they got away with the force, and now they got a chance to, if they can score 2 here, really get control of this game.
Rebecca Rogers continues playing extremely well. Good guard there from Leah Yavaro as well.
Yep.
Saw Rebecca in the concourse after that 1-2 game, and she seemed to be trying to pick things up for her team and stay positive. It's so hard to do in that situation. You can say whatever you want, but it's extremely difficult.
Curling fans want to be closer to the end.
Still playing as well as Freeze attempt here.
Right to it, come on.
Navarro, perfectly done. Great sweep by Lanigan and Anderson.
Very good spot for that Red Rock. And yeah, it's so hard after a game like that to, as an individual, lift your team up. A lot of that has to come from the individuals picking themselves up. And so far, I feel like we've seen Team Strouse do that.
Rogers throwing the out-turn draw to the wing. Looks like it's coasting a little bit. I think that rock that Rogers threw on her first might be a little too deep to play to the outside. Anderson will likely play the freeze again on that top 8 stone. It'd be hard for Strouse to make this rock count.
Yeah, I would not have been shocked to see Strouse go in with that one and potentially play sort of this same shot, try to tap to dislodge their yellow, keep a good angle on the red.
Yeah, I agree. A little movement, little tap to unlock it and stay angled on the red, as opposed to allowing Anderson to double freeze on this rock in the top of the 4-foot.
Alternatively, Anderson calling a little bit for the tap here, and I don't believe they really need to move that yellow rock yet. I think if they just freeze to it, Delaney's going to have to do some work to get those reds out of the way.
Whoa, curl!
Leah! Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa!
Curl, street!
Sweep it!
Sweeper's not real sure what to do there. Getting conflicting calls. Maybe just watch it, let it go. If one's calling straight, one's calling curl, then maybe you just don't do anything at all.
Usually means you're pretty close, or it means that one of your either your throw or your skip has not the best read. In that case, they were very close, made a good shot.
Delaney just playing the peel here. No reason to play the run yet. And again, this situation really set up by ignoring the center. And if that rock's in the 8-foot and not the 4-foot, I love throwing the wing. But with it in the 4s, again, your 4th count, 2 frozen in front of your number 1. Unlikely that rock is going to come into play as a counter for you, and you're allowing your opponent to control the center of the sheet.
Well done. Mine's good. Where?
Yeah, that back quad rock is really effective if you can get it in there for 3rd count, and you know it's going to be 3rd count even if your opponent tries to make a freeze. Like you said, with it being 4th count, a little harder to make that rock come into play, especially with the first 3 rocks of this end made really well by Team Anderson.
Drags into this, but that's fine, right?
Yeah.
I think this is damage control end now for Strouse. 5 rocks to go on this end. If you can lose their own in the back, they're going to be looking at 2, but there won't be a guard.
Sorry, I was just processing.
You also could throw a draw to the back of the 4-foot, but don't want to leave your opponent underneath cover. 2 stones. And you may be able to spill that 2nd red rock off of your own to catch this in the right spot. Looks like they just maybe a peel.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that Team Strouse is recognizing relatively early on in this end that they don't have the best positions in the house, even though they have that rock on the button sitting first right now, and trying to do damage control and just make sure that this end's not going to get out of hand and they're not going to let too much build up in the rings before they can get to it.
3. Okay, line's okay. 2. Line's good. 2. I want a tight one.
Okay.
Yep.
Curl or no?
Line's good. Straight. Yep. Throw now. Yep. Hard.
Trying to get this to cross up and take away as much as they can.
Good.
Pretty good guard. Really like to make contact with these red stones as soon as possible so you have as many chances as you can. to bail, open things up so you can score. 2-point lead in the hammer, most important thing. Just getting on the scoreboard this end.
A little bit my side here.
And I think for Team Anderson there, it was actually pretty important to leave that rock on that side of the center line, because now if Team Strouse does run this guard in, there's going to be more drag effect on that second red, and it's definitely going to go into the yellow, and it might stick somewhere around the forefoot.
Just needs to get up a little bit to not jam on the backstone. And does just that, but does roll out. So it's probably still one more guard at least for Anderson. So important to place this one well again and maybe force your opponent into thinking about drawing the side of the forefoot. Sheet C, Team Dropkin does get 2 points in the fourth, cutting Danny Casper's lead to 4-3. Casper will have hammer in the fifth.
Come on, yep.
Dropkin maybe getting a little momentum, get back in that game.
And I was
maybe
just
over curling a little bit.
Just a little bit. And I was just about to say, Ty,
Closer to the action, head up to the
even with
USA
that rock over
merchandise
curling a
table.
little bit,
On the
we're
concourse,
getting to that
ask
point in the
about
end
buying
where,
a pass to be
because it's the
on ice
fourth and
level.
it's so important
$10 gets you
for
next
Team
to the
Strouse to
action.
make sure they score,
And
you
if
see
she's a
her
little heavy
tapping
and we,
for
like, wick
a
it,
draw
that's
into the
not bad.
forefoot. I was expecting that they might do this if that guard was thrown, just because they
What?
couldn't get those reds out of the 8-foot in the last 2 rocks.
Even if you're top 4, I actually kind of like fighting top 4.
This is essentially a guard for Team Strouse too. If they can get a corner behind the 2 red stones in the top of the 8-foot, then any raise that they play would clip that rock and protect the one on the button. So placement's so important on this shot. If you're gonna go into the house, leave that guard there, and you really need this stone to be in the 4-foot.
Whoa, then, whoa. Straight. Fighting top 4, straight, girls, gotta go.
Bounce a little bit off this red.
Forward, wick it off.
Oh, ends up just perfect. Touches the one in top 8s and spins to a really good spot. Even with the tap, you got to get to as much as you can now to not have it drag into that rock at the top of the 4s. So before they could probably play a little weight at it. Now all they can do is tap because the drag will pull it into that stone at the top of the 4s. So really good job by the sweepers there to navigate that to a good spot.
Yeah, real nice sweep to get it just off the backside of that red and actually let it hook just a little bit more. Anderson's still not in a bad spot here. If they can make this tap right to the corner of that yellow one that's on the button, it will be very difficult for Team Strouse to score 2 here. But no longer in a position where Anderson has a pretty makeable chance at a steal.
This may turn over here. It's going to be close to the guard. That will wreck, and that is that swing spot too on that side of the sheet that we've seen. Interesting decision now for Strouse. Maybe another out-turn draw to the outside of the 4-foot.
Yeah, it's definitely decision time a little bit. I thought about this, potentially putting the guard back, but if you don't put it in a real good spot.
I think if you put it back where it was.
No, yeah, that's what I mean.
Talking about the guard, which
Like kind of guarding the yellow.
50.
I would be very tempted to try to put another rock touching the 4-foot or full 8-foot to give yourself a tap. Or even potentially, we talked about the drag effect on those top reds, potentially moving those reds with your own stone and using that yellow that Anna threw as that guard we were talking about to protect yourself and get these reds out of this dangerous position they have, top of the 8-foot.
Connor, looking at these angles, Delaney's in a pretty good spot. I'm not sure that Sarah has a really good option right now if she didn't even throw this stuff, based on the way these are lined up. So guard is fine, but I just was thinking, because of the way this is lined up, if you ever throw another one in the forefoot, I'm not sure what Sarah can do.
Yeah, she'd definitely be in some trouble. You'd have to throw the out turn because you wouldn't want to give her an in off the in turn side. But yeah, you could put one in the forefoot with the out turn and really sit 3 and put some pressure on her and make it up for last.
This looks like it's over curling, and they needed over first, but.
Hard, cross the center. Oh.
All right.
Good. So, I mean, our options are...
Took away the right side of the rock. So again, all they can do is tap that, Connor, and it has to move that stone off of the button.
Something I just saw. If you're Anderson here, I know you're throwing against 2.
No, you're not playing the winger. No, I looked at that earlier. Yeah, if you make that, I think there's a really short run in with that yellow still too, probably. It's a little tight on the guard, but
that was my thought with it now, with that guard getting pretty far over the center line, because before you couldn't play it because that yellow was going right into wherever you put your red. But now it's a little bit tougher with the guard. I still like this tap. She just threw it. She should have a good idea of how to throw it.
Yeah,
and again, if you make it good.
With that in off, if you don't make it, you might be giving up 3 and the game's probably over. If she makes this tap good, it could still be a force. Good angles on that stone. I don't know that she can get shot rock just because of the drag.
And it for sure goes.
But she's trying to get to as much of this as she can to clear that stone. Then it depends on where the shooter goes, because the raised rock is going to spill off of that #1 counter. She really needs to get to almost as much of this as she possibly can, maybe 4/5. Might clear that top stone.
I like the shot.
Taking a long look at this one to make sure that everybody's on board.
Shot.
And I think that's really important for these kinds of shots, late in ends, late in games, even though we're only in the 4th end. For these really important shots, making sure everybody on the sheet is on board, knows exactly what you're trying to do.
One is a little tight again. But a little more weight, not curling as much. There's that turn. It does double tick, just like we thought. That would probably click that rock, redirect. So
it was actually really good.
Will be a draw for a 3rd point for Strouse. Just needs to get full 8-foot.
It's swinging good.
That angle just wasn't there with that weight, Connor. She made it almost as good as she could and still touched that top stone.
Yeah, and that just shows the importance of that top 4 yellow that Anna O'Hara threw.
That sweep, to get that there.
Red.
And that was their goal, was to try to put that in that exact spot so that the rays would touch that stone.
I think they will look back on this end and I think recognize that that was a really important shot, really well executed by the whole team. Put that rock exactly where it needed to be to cut off that red angle.
Final stone of this 4th end for Delaney Strouse. Just needing full 8, plenty of line here. Sweepers just guiding this in. Weight looks just fine. I don't think they'll have any trouble here. And that will be 3 for Delaney Strouse. Strouse now, after 4 ends of this game, leading Team Anderson 6-1.
The everyday person may not aspire to be a professional athlete or an Olympic athlete. You may just want to be the best person you can be. You just may want to sleep better. You may want to feel better. Thorne has many products that can support all of those things. So it's not just about performing or running faster or jumping higher. It's those little things that go into having a higher quality of life.
Again, the winning number is 725095. Good luck.
Start of the fifth end in this women's semifinal matchup, the 2023 USA Curling National Championships. Delaney Strouse, 3-point end in the fourth. Now leads Sarah Anderson 6-1. Tyler George with Connor Kaufman. Connor, obviously, with
What? Four! You gotta touch the paint here. Yep. Stay straight, stay straight, stay straight. Really good sweep on her, really good sweep.
It's not that tight. 2.
Mine's okay.
Just the 2.
Yep, go curl it. Right here, girls. 17. Nice. Good work.
Yep. Just got a good one in here. 15, 14-8. Let's give on a breather.
important shot here from Rogers. Get this to the top of the forefoot. Keep Anderson chasing. Lee Yavara with a nice guard to start the end on the corner side. Could still by. And perfectly placed again and well swept. Rebecca Rogers right to the top of the forefoot.
And I feel like we've said that in all 5 of the ends that we've played thus far, and it is so important. We talk about making big shots in big games. It is so important in these moments. If you can have a lead that's making shots in really good spots every single end after end, it just helps your team out so much, especially when you're trying to protect the lead.
We're about even now.
Tons of room.
Now Yavaro's second.
Yeah, a bit deeper.
Maybe a little
Bit
past
deeper.
the other guard, but still should be up front. Good pair from Yavaro.
Good,
Both
Leah.
leads playing extremely well.
15. What was that?
15, I think, on Becca's. Yeah, that makes sense. 15.
And with the 5-rock free guard zone rule, Strouse will come in one more time. Sydney Mulaney's first. Love to get this right down to that rock at the top of the forefoot. That's really good again. Really well done. Great position.
A little tick, but those yellows are still in a pretty good spot.
Yep.
Yeah, Connor, I never mind those rocks being separated a little bit like that, just because it's harder to create a pocket, and it's not really something they could ever draw around. The corners kind of take those paths away, but once you get down by 5 points, you're trying to use anything you can in play to set up a multiple point end. Sometimes that means drawing around rocks in the house. So back when I played with John Schuster, when we set up, when we had leads and we were trying to set rocks in the house, in the forefoot, we would always stagger those like that so that if a team was going to try to draw around them, we had a short run. If they're cornered on each other across, then you can't really do that.
Yeah, just as you're saying, with those yellows being separated, there's nowhere in the back of the house around those yellows that Anderson could go where one of those yellows couldn't be run in.
Roll out by Lanigan now allowing Team Strouse to play the peel on this corner guard.
Whoa!
Does make the peel. Little stick on the back there. Not particularly a good thing for Strouse, even though it looked cool. Now in the back of the house, playing behind a corner guard, some good serve as a jamstone for Anderson. So looked like a good break, but it ended up being a little bit of a bad break for Strouse.
Okay. I need buy-in.
Looks good to put it on your highlight reel.
Well, it's fun to call it a double too. It's about as long a one as you're going to see.
That is true.
Now Lanigan trying to tap these rocks around a little bit, I believe.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, I would love to move these. Just give herself a pocket behind the tee line a little bit here.
Bumps pretty hard, sits in front of that yellow stone. Good shot by Lanigan.
Now we see kind of exactly what you were saying about that yellow rock sticking there, not necessarily being a good thing. Strouse has to be a little bit careful where they hit this to make sure it doesn't jam on that yellow rock.
Be interesting to see where they try to peel this too, with 3 possible jam stones behind it. Here's Anna O'Hara throwing this one really hard.
That's pretty
Not
good.
a bad result at all. Getting rid of that backing, I don't think Strouse minds that in the least. Now we see where that jam stone in the back comes into play.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Taylor Anderson throwing the out turn draw.
5,
To get
6.
to top 8s underneath this card.
Line only.
This is turning over hard.
Hard, Leah, gotta go.
That kicked, I believe. That's a bad break there. Just when you might have a little bit of a chance to attack.
Gotta go.
No question that rock picks something up.
Like the straight peel?
Need to belabor the point.
Yeah, most of it, right?
Oh, it's such a bad break for Team Anderson, but I don't remember in any of our broadcasts this week seeing a pick, at least not one sizable enough that it made that big a difference. So credit to the ice staff, all the crew here, especially coming off a rodeo before this tournament started, to not have that dust or anything like that on the ice surface or around it. So again, hats off to the arena crew.
4.
Appears as though Corey Dropkin may have stolen one in the 5th end. To knot that game up at 4. Wait for the score to be posted to confirm.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about how that rock ran. Just, you know, with us talking about
6,
picks on that last guard there, that rock over-curled by almost 2 feet more than they didn't need to be anywhere near where they ended up. So I'm a little curious to know what happened there.
This has got a lot of weight here from Taylor Anderson. Looks like that might go through. So
It's time for the
down
fifth
Strouse.
draw for dollars.
I don't think you overcomplicate this. Well, they are peeling the high corners.
And win an awesome prize. Draw to the
Thought they might just throw this to the top of the 4th, on the opposite side of where that
anywhere in the house,
guard
and she
is.
wins USA curling gear.
Yeah, especially with that guard being so high, it would be really hard for Anderson to hide anything behind there. And with only 2 rocks left, if you drew one, you know, tee line in the 8-foot on the open side.
I think the idea for Strouse is that they're worried that if they make the 3s, they won't be able to get it up because of that guard. But still, I don't know that this is
Let's hear it for
necessary.
Caitlin.
Nasty spin back into the corner, but
It is on the way.
freeze opportunity now for
Sweepers aren't sure what to do.
Taylor Anderson.
This might be their first time sweeping.
Yeah.
Gets your point.
Yeah. 14-5 will be great.
Let's make this good.
Yep.
So Sarah's first stone of the 5th end. In-turn freeze attempt. This rock in the back of the 12-foot. Really no opportunity to blank now with those stones
10.
spread out. Without a miss from Strouse, so calling 10 out of hand. They need this to turn over, and this is a little bit of a straighter side, so I think this may just coast here. Connor, I know we've said it all week, but that center line going out, the fastest line on this sheet and the fastest line on any curling sheet, but with Sean Olison's ice, we see that happen so much. Very rarely do you see anybody short on those inside-out draws. They just coast forever, and same mistake made twice in a row there by Anderson.
Just make her draw against more.
Yeah, you like throwing this stone, Connor?
Yeah, I kind of like full 8.
I think I like the idea they have here. I don't think you want to be deeper than, well, I don't know. My first thought was you don't want to be deeper than full 12 because you don't want to give her a rock to nose. But if she is playing a hit, you might, get a chance for her to roll out with you, potentially sitting 3 after this rock. So I think this top 12, top 8 spot makes sense.
I think I'd be tempted just to throw it in the top of the 12-foot with, what I just saw from that last draw. I think I want the opposing skip drawing again if they just threw one through.
Just let it go.
Sweepers are being told that they can have a break. Ends up short. If you're Delaney Strouse, it's a good time for that. Unlikely that it changes the impact or changes the result of the end.
Yeah, I like 14s.
Yeah, it's always nice to get those in the rings just to make the opposing skip look at throwing against 3 instead of 2. But in the grand scheme of things, you're still going to get your force. So no need to tire your sweepers out more than you have to, because I'm sure you're going to need them in the second half of this game.
So Sarah Anderson's final stone of this 5th end. Just needs full 12-foot for her 1 point. Hang around in this game.
Oh, it's okay. 7, 6. It's number
Really need to go hard. Sweepers trying to get this to the panes.
Come on, girls! Come on, girls! Hard!
Oh, what a great sweep there by Lanigan and Anderson. So it is 1 point for Sarah Anderson. 5th end break means it's time to tell you about Warm Room Hero, the intuitive curling club software that takes the stress out of schedules, registrations, and more. Warm Room Hero, a platform built for curlers by curlers. Check out Warm Room Hero at curling.club today. And our score at this 5th end break, the women's semifinal, Delaney Strouse 6, Sarah Anderson 2.
Let's say you're in high school and there's a sport you like, but sometimes you think, it might be cool to try a new sport.
Twin Cities Orthopedics is ready to go with more doctors, specialty services, and convenient urgent care locations. Ready, set, TCO.
That's going to be a bit quicker, she said.
Start of the 6th end, this women's semifinal matchup, 2023 USA Curling National Championships. Delaney Strouse with a 6-2 lead and hammer. The 6th end, John Landsteiner, it's always faster at the break.
Hard! Hard!
You missed one of those yet, Ty?
Always straight. Come on,
I was 2 shots late on one after. Deep.
Hey.
And it was in Steiner's game. But it wasn't him that did it. He did talk to Steiner after that game, and he immediately on that rock of Chase Sinnets that went to the back of the 8-foot mentioned that Ty's probably called him that one already. That's the stuff you miss, you know, with the travel and the camaraderie and all that. Still good to see the boys, and
Really running.
obviously right where they expected to be back in this final.
It's not. Go back 8. Can't be back 4.
And there it is, Mr. Landsteiner coasting a little bit deep to the back of the 8s. Back 8, much better than back 4, back button though. Good read to make sure it doesn't stop. The worst spot behind that guard. Ybarro tried to throw to a tight guard.
Has room. Oh, Taze rock.
2.
Yep.
Taze rock. Taze rock. 3.
Line looks very good. Just a matter if it stops before the paint. I think it's going to settle. A good pair from Ybarro.
Good.
Ever think about playing the tick on that shot, Connor, now that that's not on the center line? Take that center out of play with a 4-point lead?
I think you could. I think if your team's Strauss, you know that you're going to start hitting these guards anyways after this. So if you take it into the rings, it's just another rock you're going to have to remove later. I think you consider it, but I like this call. If you put a good one top 4, then you're going to start peeling, and Team Anderson's really going to have to work to make sure they get you, as they get right close to that top one, even close to that second one.
Where that rock got to.
Wow. I
came out half open on the other side of the second guard.
Wonder what happened on that one, because Delaney did not sound concerned about that for 3/4 of the sheet, and then kind of just took a jump there.
Lexi Lanigan's first in the 6th, playing the out-turn come-around draw. As you said, Connor, those guards are going to be leaving the premises very shortly, so they'd like to get position while they can. If I'm Strouse, I'm not overcomplicating this either with the score the way it is. I'm peeling the tight guard. I'm not messing with that top one.
Yeah, most definitely. Up by 4 with hammer in the 6th. Just want to make sure you score. I think she's going to look at the possibility of a double peel here.
Well, not to call for the highlight reel shot, but you could lose all 3 reds if you hit this in just the right spot. Here is Sydney Mullaney.
Yeah, whoa.
Should be a single peel there. A little bit outward mow on that piece. I think she might have slid a hair tight and tried to work it back. But accomplishes the main purpose, gets rid of the high guard.
Yep.
And it makes Team Anderson spend a couple of rocks to replace this, and they got to make sure they put it in a good spot. Don't give you a pretty makeable double peel.
I think there may be, if there's only single peels made, I think there may be 3 more guards yet this end for Anderson.
I would agree. Eventually they're going to want to come into the rings, but not for quite a while. They want to run Team Strouse out of a few rocks before they try to do that.
Yeah, it's more a matter of how many stones you want to give your opponent to have a chance to bail. This one turning over pretty hard too. Really don't want this to get any closer to that second guard. Double peel is going to be a little more accessible this time around.
Less ice?
Yeah.
The temperature in the arena does feel a little bit warmer than it's been. More people in the building, so it is possible we see the ice slow down a little as the game goes on. Better throw that time from Mullaney.
Ready, roll out.
Call ends up cutting in, leaving the guard. 2 under cover.
Finally a break. Okay.
I think we guard the hole.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah, the center line.
Let's capitalize here. I felt like I was barely kicking over the hack. Yep.
So a little bit of an opening for Team Anderson. They're throwing yet another guard up on top. Still 4 stones to go on the end.
Lots of room. Lots of room.
Careful, careful. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Lexi, Lexi. Yep, Lexi. Hard, hard.
Lexi Lanigan really trying to work this one over, get it back off to the center line and off this yellow one.
And that will allow them to ignore those 2 stones, and there is a run double now for Strouse. It's a really important shot here for Anna. This is their opportunity to get out of this end again.
Hi. Do you want to throw this way? It's like right there. Even nose is okay though.
Yeah, really important here to make contact with one of the red stones in the rings and get them off of the button. Because for Team Strouse, your main goal in this end is to make sure you score, protect that lead a little bit. And you can't score if there's 2 of your opponent's rocks on the button.
And Sydney correctly saying it's okay if it noses, because it's your stone taking that path away. That's not so bad.
Push, push, push. Really close.
Ends up rolling off.
No, that was plenty of weight. That was a 2-3 on its. Yeah, it was a 2 on its own.
Sarah would like to have this mid guard instead of tight. make that run back longer if Team Strouse is going to play it.
This doesn't look like she's taking a ton of ice here. I'm curious to see how this rock runs since we've seen that other side snap on a couple of yards that we've thrown.
Yeah, this should come down hard when it goes, but they're only throwing it to a 2, so it's not traveling a long distance. Line doesn't look to be a problem. If anything, they need to curl.
2.5.
Does take away the port. Probably going to be another run back. Pretty much identical shot for O'Hara.
I think the same thing.
Good guard from Anderson.
Got it on him.
Yeah.
Good idea to take your time here.
Yep.
Yeah, take your time, take a breath, and really, really make this one good. Send a good one down the ice here and bail your team out of this end a little bit.
Yeah, and again, you're not worried about if the shooter does end up on the nose.
Yep.
Crossing. Does pick out the back, but it rolls over, so a little bit of breathing room now for Team Strouse. It looks so much better for your skip when there's only one rock in there.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer as a skip looking at one rock and an open button than looking at 2 rocks and no pin. So,
Or, I mean, we guard.
at the very least, right now, it looks like Delaney Strouse is going to have the outturn draw button.
Okay, top 4.
This half.
Hearing that Danny Casper has an open hit for 3 here in the 6th end.
Okay. I like it.
I don't want him to be tricky because there's a double.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a guard he's got to be a little careful of, but
That looks
should have
mostly
all of
open,
that
just
rock.
can't jam on the back too. So I believe Anderson playing into the house. Maybe bite top 4s.
7. On its own.
Casper ends up rolling out, but does get 2 points. And Anderson throws that right even up, and that's we call it a pair of pants, Connor.
With this turn, right?
Should have plenty of room by the guard.
Easier with the other.
What?
Yeah, that's one with your, you have to communicate on that. Sweepers, make sure you hammer that back-to-back 4 if it's going to glide that deep.
I think this is just a lot safer.
yeah, and that it's really important for your sweepers to have an understanding of where you're trying to be, where you can be, and where you absolutely can't be. And that's one of those where just didn't quite communicate where it was going to be and ended up in a spot you really can't be.
Yeah, we don't want to
Let's get a good one here.
throw them under the bus too much. It might just be you didn't get the read right. You know, maybe they thought that was going to stop, and it didn't. You know, it happens. This one a little on the wide side. Need to turn this over. And good enough to sit 2. Delaney Strouse.
Now Sarah Anderson is looking at a very unfriendly house. Looking at the draw, trying to find a way to steal one in this end.
Yeah, it's very close on if they come to that yellow stone in the back of the 4-foot, if it would be shot. You see Leah Yavara looking at that exact thing.
Okay, side of the button.
But even if they just draw back 4, not to a freeze, at least make it difficult for Delaney to dig out. Could be forced into playing a little bump for 1 or 2. So maybe back button, back 4 for Sarah Anderson to be the goal. Her final stone here in the 6th. Trying to stay in this game.
7, 6.
Weight looks good coming down.
Line on this shot is just as important as the weight, if not more so.
Gotta go. Curl it.
Line's getting better now.
Careful. Oh,
Weight looks like it's all there.
Wait. Back 4, back 4.
So Strouse sitting 1. They do have a draw for 2 and a possible bump for 3. This is one, Connor, where you just throw the draw, tee back 4, and if you end up on the right line, you can hammer it to bump. She looks like she's actually going to just play the hit. I'd be very hesitant to throw any kind of hit on this shot.
I would agree, especially the scoreboard being the way it is. You do not need 3. It's obviously good, but if you score your 2 here and go up by 6, you are in full control of this game. Looks like they're playing.
Yeah, and you don't want to play a weight that you could hit your own stone and take it out of count. That's the biggest thing. If you throw a heavy draw,
there's no reason to try to make it rock out.
It's like she could hear us up
there
here.
you go, Delaney.
You heard Sydney Mulaney when Delaney got into the hack. She just suggested, she's like, is there any reason to not just play the draw? And I think that's really good that she has that relationship, and everybody on this team has such a good relationship that they can have those conversations and just say, hey, I think the draw's better here. And you see Delaney go down, adjust the broom, and do exactly what we just talked about, play the straight up draw.
You just throw this to tee. And if the line's good, then the sweepers can hammer it to try to bump that rock back. But 2 points is just about game. You just don't want to play a shot where you end up having a weight that could move your own stone out of count. There you see the standings real quick so everybody remembers. Just needs to turn over to get to that back stone. Starting to turn now. Line's getting much better. Still needs to go. Looks like it's just 2, I believe, but 2 good enough to take a 6-point lead in this game. Delaney Strouse now leading Sarah Anderson 8-2 after 6 ends.
Just because you're not a professional athlete doesn't mean that you should accept less. The beauty about what Thorne does is our product quality is the same whether they're in the athletic line or whether they're just for the everyday person. Thorne has kept true to never compromising on quality, never compromising on efficacy, never compromising on safety for not only athletes but for everyone who would use their products.
On to the 7th end. This women's semifinal 2023 USA Curling National Championships.
5, 6, 6.
Delaney Strouse leading Sarah Anderson 8-2.
14,
Tyler George and Connor Kaufman on the call. Connor, again, discretion the better part of valor on that last throw from Delaney. At first looking at playing hack weight, and the heavy draw, obviously all you need to bump that stone, but making sure of your 2 and not risking taking your own stone out of play. 6-point lead, 4 ends to play. Simple game now for Team Strouse.
Only if you can. Only if you can. Just running a bit.
And because it is the start of the 7th end, we have to thank our friends at Floor Curl, as USA Curling member clubs are entitled to a 20% discount on any Floor Curl inflatable rink set. These rinks only take a minute to inflate or deflate and are the perfect way to promote your club at summer festivals, events, or anywhere you have a flat surface. No ice required.
You want to throw PO, but you like
USAcurling.flowpro.com and use the promo code FCInflatable20. That's USAcurling.flowpro.com. Promo code FCInflatable20. That rock glides into the ring, so Rebecca Rogers will play a rare hit right now. Just peeling that stone out.
I believe that's her first hit of the game and makes no mistake peeling that out of the rings.
Those 100% always look nice on the score sheet, even if you throw just one.
2, 3.
So another corner guard attempt from Leah Yavaro.
Looking good. It's coming down more. Just a 2.5.
Looking good. Tase rock. No, no, no.
16-2.
Hit the brakes and be up top.
Nice.
That's
Good.
just fine.
Nice.
14-8. 14-15.
Sydney Mulaney's first. Just throwing top 8, top 4. Can he put another stone in play for Team Anderson to deal with? I'd like this to stop above the tee line. Looks like it's coasting too. Don't want to leave it side by side is all. Rock goes all the way to the back of the 8-foot, so a little bit of a mistake there.
I think we have to corner again.
No, it's too late. Use this.
Discussion here from Team Anderson on what they want to do.
15. Okay. Yep.
We'll just play the freeze. Stone in the back of the 4-foot.
Yeah, they talked about potentially going under their corner, and I'm a little bit surprised they're not calling that. I don't dislike this freeze call, but I feel like if you go into the corner now, you make Strouse waste a rock peeling, and then you can play this freeze or a little bump. It feels like even if you make this freeze perfectly, you could give Strouse just a free run at the corner or at the rock that you just put in the rings.
That is perfect freeze from Lexi Lanning, and that's really well done. Appears as though Delaney's going to go right to trying to peel this stone out. Thought they might peel the corner, but 6-point lead. They just want to unlock that stone at the very least. Probably lose both of your yellows here. Stone won't quite get out of play.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah, props to Lexi Lanigan for putting that rock dead frozen to that yellow. It was always going to be very tough to remove that rock with one shot, which is why, like you said, Ty, I was a little surprised that Team Strouse didn't just take the free run at the corner guard and then come in and deal with those rocks in the rings later. As we see now, Team Anderson's going to get that draw to the corner.
Possible 3-point end now set up for Team Anderson. Still 4 rocks left for Strouse to try to cut them down. And I think if this ends up getting buried, you may see slash on that corner guard into the other one. Should be pretty much completely buried.
Come on, make it good.
Delaney looking at hitting the open stone.
10-5. You got it, Anna. Focus up. Let's get a good one here.
Really want to make sure that you stick this yellow rock in the rings and even roll in a little bit to make sure you're shot. Otherwise, Team Anderson could have another chance to come under that corner guard. And then, like you said, you're looking at that 3.
Really like to nose this if they can.
Hard, back's hard.
Looks like it's going to roll out.
Hard, back's hard. Okay, that's fine.
So again, 3 may be in the picture for Team Anderson.
Even, Tay.
Look at you there.
They really have to get, if they do throw another counter under that corner guard. They have to get really close to the guard in order to bury it enough that they won't have an opportunity to play a hit.
8.
8, 9. Oh. Really moving now.
Okay. 7.
Sweeper's not really very close to this one. Looks like it's going to come down, but
Just behind T.
Good.
It's good, Tay.
good shot there from Taylor Anderson. Did a nice job to save her sweepers a little bit as well. Sweepers always appreciate when they don't have to do all that much on those kinds of shots.
Don't worry about it. It'll curl. You got it.
So open hit for Anna O'Hara. Would like to roll middle to get shot if they can. Playing the out-turn pass.
Less!
10-5.
Does roll in for shot.
Good.
That is important.
Nice shot.
Right to it, Tay.
Sarah playing the freeze.
Yeah. About the same as close.
Taylor Anderson hoping she can make as good of a freeze as Lexi Lanigan did with her first in this end.
Taylor Anderson's last of the 7th.
4, 5, 4.
4 out of hand, so sweepers really need to go here.
Gotta go.
Right to it.
Really gotta go. 5.
Hard.
4-3 is the call right now.
Hard straight, we got it. Hard straight, we got it.
Come on. Hard.
If this stops top house, there may be a double
Come on.
for Team Strouse too.
Sweet.
Let's get to the paint.
Yeah.
So maybe a third to a quarter for this double. Third probably pretty good.
Like, thick roll isn't really bad either.
This could be a game winner right now for Delaney Strouse if she's able to make this.
Yeah, for sure.
I was thinking that
Kind of
same
a bonus
thing.
if you
Important
get
thing
it,
here is
but
to
we
make
can
sure you
call
make
for it.
contact with this first red. Obviously the double is really nice, but it is
Is it
pretty
like a
thin,
third?
so make sure you get contact with the first red because
All right,
the
you got
scoreboard the way it is, giving up 2 points is not the end of the world. You just want to try to avoid a 3.
Delaney Strouse out-turn double attempt. Sweepers on it immediately. Wow, crossed that stone.
Okay, that's fine.
Definitely not Delaney's best effort of the night. Missed it just badly enough to cross that stone and not jam.
Well, she heard me saying she had to make contact, and she made sure that she made contact with that first red stone.
No speed here.
Crazy thing is if that ends up on the nose and jams it straight back, it brings 4 going
Yeah.
around that stone, then Delaney has to play a
She
run
kicked so
back
good. She just held on to
on
it a bit
those
till it
2.
died.
So Sarah needs to make this freeze perfectly in order to have a chance to score 3. Her first of the 7th end.
6. 6.
Looks like it's got a ways to go to
It's
curl,
really
too.
close. Close, it's really close.
Now starting to turn over.
6.
Come on, girls. Come on, girls. Hard.
Go, 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 Tay. Go,
Needs
Tay.
to go to get there again.
Come on. Right to it. Come on. Go, go,
Looks
go.
like it'll be another double attempt for Delaney Strouse.
Yeah, and I wonder
Not
if-
taking any time on this.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe that spot in the ice might be just getting a little warmer, as
Yeah.
we talked about, a little warmer in the arena, more people watching today. Because the sweepers seemed to think that was going to be pretty good weight most of the time.
Nice double by Danny Casper to
You got it.
limit this end for Corey Dropkin, so they may have a draw for 2. Here is Delaney Strauss's last shot.
Whoa.
This one's very close. A little too thin.
Oh.
Safer side on that, not jamming it back. So a hit and stick for 2 for Sarah Anderson. Trying to climb back into this game.
What kind of weight, sir?
10-5.
Like it.
I think if you told Delaney Strouse at the start of this end that they'd give up 2, they'd be just fine with that. Hammer in a 4-point lead to the 8th if Sarah is able to hit and stick here. Final stone of 7th end. Sarah Anderson, open in-turn hit for 2. Sweeper's just cleaning this one. Actually taking a little time. Still should be okay. And will stick for 2. So Anderson gets there 2 through 7 ends. Delaney Strouse leading Sarah Anderson 8-4. Start of the 8th end here. 2023 USA Curling Women's National Championship semifinal matchup. Delaney Strouse leading Sarah Anderson 8-4 with hammer. Start of the 8th end again means time to tell you that Warm Room Hero is more than just software. It's run by curlers dedicated to building long-term relationships with your club. Warm Room Hero provides continuous support to ensure your website exceeds your members' expectations. Check out Warm Room Hero today at curling.club for special event pricing. Danny Casper with a fantastic freeze, looks like.
Corey Dropkin does have an in-off that he's looking at for a potential 3. Really precise. He's got to go into Danny Casper's yellow rock, top button.
I think you'll know one way or another by the noise in this arena if Corey Dropkin makes this in-off. Lining it up.
I'm seeing a 1.
Yep. Yeah, let me see.
First rock by Rebecca Rogers goes to the back of the 8-foot, so that line's certainly not slowing down any. Leah Yavaro
1-2.
trying to throw this to a high
Not
center
bad. It's
guard.
out of room. Okay.
Where? Throws into the other one. Close.
We can't get it by.
Close. Throws into the other one.
Sweeper saying they're going to be frozen to the other one. They do
We're
want to
just
keep
on
these
top.
far apart if they can.
Right here.
Curl.
Hard,
Hard.
hard, 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 hard. Hard, hard, hard.
Okay.
Oh, Dropkin just over curls by a hair. I believe that's a steal of 1 for Danny Casper. Now leading 7-4. Connor, that was a half-inch away from 3 for Dropkin.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how small the margins are at this level. Like you said, half-inch less curl, and he makes it for 3, and that's a completely different looking game. As it stands, Danny Casper is going to go into the 8th end up 7-4.
Okay, Lexi. Walk one on here.
Good come around draw on the outturn side for left-hander Rebecca Rogers, the top of the 4-foot. Lee Yavaro had her guard stop on the logo. Kind of a tough angle to play a double peel on those 2 stones. Lexi Lanigan playing the intern freeze or tap roll, either way.
Roll if you can, roll if you can, roll if you can.
Whoa! Whoa!
Roll.
Easy curl. Taylor.
Let it curl, let it curl.
Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa!
Close,
Let it
Tay.
curl up.
Go, Tay. Go, Tay.
Taylor Anderson trying
Go,
to turn
Taylor,
this and
go!
get it inside of that yellow stone.
Go!
Right to it!
Nice.
Good
sweet
freeze
girl.
on that in the top of the forefoot.
So,
Lexi Lanigan's really has some good draw weight. These last two ends, her first rock has been an absolutely perfect freeze.
Yeah, Lexi's all-around game improved so much over the last few years in that draw game. Such a weapon to have at the second position. Sydney Mulaney trying to play the double peel. And makes it perfectly. Very well done.
Okay.
So no guards in play for Anderson. They'll have to replace.
2, 3.
Yeah. Think with a 2. Like a 40.
And if you're
short.
Team Strouse now, it's really any score.
16 long.
Hanging any points is a great situation. 4-point lead in the hammer.
2, 3.
Let it work if you can.
Clean it.
2 is great. Over curling.
Needs to sit.
Drop it. Drop it.
Over and off.
This guard over curling
Over and
now.
off.
Drop it.
So maybe a bit of a decision for Strouse if this is worth
Good. Good talk.
peeling, or if they'd like to get rid of the one in the top of the forefoot while they can.
Really curled.
That guard's pretty high.
yeah.
I think I agree with hitting this in the house now.
What do you guys think?
Could be a time for a timeout too. It's unlikely they'll have a
Okay,
spot
yeah,
they need
peel.
to think anymore.
Do you like nose as opposed to like?
I agree with you, Tyler. I like this call. Hit the rock in the rings when you can see it. Like you said, that guard's pretty high, and even if Team Anderson was to make a shot around that, you are going to have the button open at the very least.
Yeah, and they're going to make a better guard than that too. I mean, this is the time you want to move those stones. He even keeps the shooter too, so that's a perfect result for Strouse.
Full 4 here.
Well thought out by Delaney. She made a mistake earlier in the week, a similar situation where it kind of got to a reflex point where a guard was up, she peeled the guard, but
Tay, sorry.
the opportunity to take a rock out in the house
Come around this way.
would have been a better play because the guard was as poor as it was. You think about what you're going to leave yourself later in the end. Try to make it as easy on yourself as possible. And now looking at this setup, had they peeled the guard, there would have been a better guard in front of those. So again, good decision there from Team Strouse.
Lots of room. Clean it though. Leah's drop. Yes, right here, girl.
Definitely a
Oh,
good
there,
decision
sorry.
there. Team Anderson electing to come around this
eight.
guard with the out turn instead of the in turn that they've been throwing.
Close. Close. Leah. Leah. Hard, Leah.
Hard, Leah. Hard, Leah.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Nice freeze to that
That's
rock
fine,
in the
Tay.
back.
Way to-
Team Anderson has made some really good freezes in the last few ends, right on that stone.
Yeah, both the throwers and the
Nose.
sweepers have been
I like
judging
what
the
you
weight for
called.
these rocks really well.
For your first is just
I think they're just trying to play nose-nose,
I think we got
stay on that stone.
you got it, Anna.
Throwing just a little less weight than the peel weight they threw with Sydney's last.
Just playing control, trying to stay dead on the nose of this red rock in the back of the forefoot. Might have bruised this one a little bit with the sweep. Ends up pretty good, ends up shot rock. Just a little over sweep on that one.
I think this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a touch more ice here, Tay.
Touch more ice here, she said.
Throwing a little less.
Okay. Line's good.
6.
Line's good. 5.
6.
4. Yep.
I'm hearing 4 as of now.
Leah, hard. 3. 4. Leah.
5.
Leah, come on.
5.
Oh, get by.
It's really
Gotta go,
close
Leah.
to
Gotta
the
go,
guard.
Leah. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Get up all the way.
Does get
Keep
by.
it going. Hard. Good.
Stops in the top of the 8
Good
foot.
spot.
And more decisions to be made here for Team Strouse and Delaney Strouse.
If you could ever get to just off nose of that stone and make the double or leave your shooter there, I think that's a really good position to have.
I don't mind the draw.
That was my first thought. We could see them take their time out here. This is a good spot to really talk. Make sure you get to the right shot on this one. Pretty important moment.
Yeah, I like this hit a lot. Taking that position is so important.
And even if we roll out, that's
Yeah,
pretty good,
that's-
yeah.
You don't need to
We're gonna
overthrow this.
Double, but the roll's fine. How much do you have of it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you can clear both of these red stones and leave your shooter there even. You're really putting Anderson in a tough spot.
9-5.
Anna O'Hara.
Got it.
Looks like maybe playing, I'd assume, firm with this broom somewhere in there. Maybe just normal. This one kind of fading back a little bit too. That's the second one in a row that they got a little jumpy on the sweep early too, that they really didn't want to over curl, but
What if we go here? Right?
just rolls to the outside.
Right. But I mean here or there.
Strouse still sitting 1.
I just think she's doing this all
And,
day.
and even though Anna didn't make the double, she got rid of that red rock that
Yeah.
was
Which way
pretty
though?
dangerous up there.
Same? Yeah.
And that yellow stone in the top of the 8 foot helps Strouse so much because any draw that Anderson throws in, it's easier to slash that in to clear those stones than it is to play something dead on.
I like it a lot.
You like freezing
So
around
all
this
those
one?
angles play well for Strouse.
I'll get ready to carve.
Definitely. She has quite a few options, even if this rock were to be perfectly
speed here.
frozen. Like you said, she has that slash, or she will have the entire
Yeah, I think
button
14-8 is great.
if she elects to draw at some point.
Sarah Anderson's first of this 8th end
Little down.
to get this all the way to the
6.
top of the button.
5.
Sweepers have really been working hard these last few ends.
Curl it, curl it.
Mine's fine.
7. 7. 6. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Hard, girls. Hard, you got it.
Hard dig, dig.
Make it good.
Dig, dig,
Hard.
dig.
Where they carried that a long ways. Really good sweep. I think they can see 3/4. Yeah, hearing confirmation there from
What do you like?
Rebecca Rogers.
I haven't even looked.
Especially with Delaney Strouse being right-handed. She gets the advantage of throwing from the left hack, whereas Anna had to throw from the right hack, so potentially saw just a little bit less.
Yeah, plenty of room to make this with as much as normal, I'd say. You could even make it with firm if you got close to the guard, but you give yourself
12-5.
a
Okay.
little margin for error. Playing a little less weight. I heard I think they're only playing 12-5, they said, so.
Yeah, I think I can hold it.
You want to move those stones enough that they get out of the 4 foot.
I like
Yeah,
it.
I'm a little surprised. I thought especially with seeing 3/4, I thought we'd see Delaney play at least control at this rock.
Yeah, and you could possibly over curl too and jam if it gets really close to the guard.
Sweeper's working this one
Yeah,
really hard
need
right
to
out
go
of her
to
hand.
not cross it. Well, maybe a bit of a break there.
We hit this here. and sit
Ticks the
two.
guard and still moves those around. Sitting shot rock.
Yeah.
Anderson may be able to double and sit 3 though. Put a little pressure on Delaney Strouse.
What are they doing? Like hit? Are they playing like a hit?
Thinking like a 9-5. Okay.
Should we call timeout here?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, or the other call is trying to tap this to the button and sit right
Yeah,
there.
I don't think you have any choice but to play the double here. You need to try to sit 3. You're running out of game.
Other option is just to tap this and make a pocket and sit right in front.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you could also do that. You could move those to a pocket, but you may leave a pocket of your own for the double at that angle.
That was my
And,
first thought.
and if you hit this yellow one just off
Like
nose
backline.
and make the double with, you know, the,
but
the
you
right
don't need
weight,
to move the 4. You only need to
you're
move
going to
the
be
7.
sitting 3. There's not going to be any super easy doubles for Delaney. She's going to have to kind of make
So the
a
only
hit and
downside
roll
of that
and
is
make
that
it a
the
little
5
precise to
That's
not
what I thought,
give
yeah.
up
That's why I
a
came
couple
down.
points.
I guess
As we
it's
see
the
Team
decision if
Anderson
we
call
want
their
to
timeout here. Want to
do this,
bring the coach in,
and then
make
she
sure
has,
they
like,
get to the right call.
double, like for 3, or we rip this and like lay 3.
Yeah, and you can't draw here because they'll rip.
I think we gotta get rid of these. What's what he says though? The only thing is, if we hit here only half, we have to still push this enough because our shooters are low.
We don't need to be 1 and 2 though. We just need to be 1. But I guess I get what
We're
you're
thinking
saying.
it's like either we push them back or make the double and sit 3.
I think you want to make the double and sit 3 because it's just too hard to do that.
Right.
And then we just got to keep our fingers crossed that she may try.
Yeah, hear Earl Morris say you got to make them look at 3, make the double.
Yeah.
Earl's been around long enough in the coaching circuit that he says it, you believe it.
We're gonna end up rolling a little bit over though.
Okay.
I like
It's really your best chance of stealing more than 1 is losing these stones, because if you sit 2, even bumping these around, all Strauss is going to be worried about is finding a way to remove
misses.
1 of
Like,
them.
Gods are not in our favor today with that.
Yeah, if you make her look at 3, then she's got to
No, because then they have the double.
think a little harder about whether she wants to try to play a double
We
and
have to
only
do
give
this.
up 1, whether she wants to play a hit and
If we can
roll,
keep
whether
the
she
shooter
wants
in
to
the 8th,
draw
that's
against
great.
3. And the
Fighting
more
4 is
options
ideal.
you can make a skip consider,
Okay.
usually the better off you are. If you leave her with 1 option and 1 thing to think about, makes their life a little bit easier than you'd like.
Sarah Anderson's final stone of the 8th end, trying to make this in-turn double and make Delaney Strouse look at 3 counters on her last. Like a little outward mow on that throw. Still fading backwards.
Hard, Taylor. Hard, say hard.
And that just ticks that rock. Does get over the top, but be a hit for 2 for Delaney Strouse, and likely handshakes for this game.
Edge. Whatever you want to.
There is a possible double for 4 being signaled. John Benton here in the booth. We are aware 2 is probably good enough for the game.
Hard.
$11.5.
11-5. I like that weight a lot more. Just play enough that you make sure to kill the stone. Final rock of the 8th.
Little less.
Delaney Strouse taking a little less broom now.
Oh,
Bring the sweepers into play. Sweepers trying to get this to turn over.
Yeah, hard. Hard.
And will only be one for Strouse. Just overthrew that a little bit. But that's good enough.
Good game, Sarah.
And we have handshakes. Final score, Strouse 9, Anderson 4. Delaney Strouse will advance to the national championship game. Rubber match. Well, I guess it's not a rubber match if you already lost the first two. Third game against Tab Peterson this week. See if Tab can beat this squad 3 times in a row. Again, the 1-2 game. Team Strouse led 10-7 entering the final end of the game. Peterson ended up getting 4 to win 11-10. We wondered about, Connor, Team Strauss's mindset going into this game. They have the mental strength to bounce back from that catastrophic finish. And they looked sharp again today. They were the better team, and they absolutely deserve to be going back to this national championship game.
Exactly. They looked real sharp the whole game. Came out, and you didn't see any of those. You didn't see any remnants of negativity from that 1-2 matchup against Peterson. And as the game went on, they kept making more and more shots. You saw them get that confidence up and stand tall, and they really deserved this win. They played really well today, and it'll be exciting to watch them tomorrow in the championship final against Team Peterson.
A little bit of nepotism. Credit to Coach Courtney Benson for getting the team ready to play that game on a short turnaround after that loss. They really only had 2 hours before the game started, and maybe an hour 15 to get themselves ready to play, to come out here after that finish. So credit to the whole team for being ready to go. Here is our championship final. Tabitha Peterson, Delaney Strouse, the 2 top seeds from the round robin, will play in tomorrow's final at 4 p.m. Mountain Time for the national championship, with the winner going to Sandviken, Sweden, to represent the United States at the Women's World Championships. Wonderful week, too, for Team Anderson. 5-2 round robin. Ended up winning the 3-4 game over Madison Bear. So hats off to them on a well-played tournament. But Delaney Strouse will be going to the national championship game after a 9-4 victory over Sarah Anderson. Taking a look at the end of this 8th end here in Dropkin Casper. Corey's last stone just came to rest, and appears to be 1 for Team Dropkin. We're waiting to see, maybe, oh, it was 1 for Casper. So Danny Casper leading 8-4 after 8 ends now. We encourage you to switch over coverage to the stream of Casper Dropkin for the final 2 ends of that game. But for myself, Tyler George, and Connor Kaufman, Connor, thanks again for joining. We will see you tomorrow at noon for the men's national championship game. John Schuster will take on either Danny Casper or Corey Dropkin in tomorrow's final. Thanks for watching.